Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Oh, aren't you a fine-looking fellow? Oh, lions are beautiful animals. It's too bad that they are so ferocious. You just sit there and look pretty, and don't you bite me. And maybe I can find some conditioner for your hair to tame that mane down a little bit. Oh, hello there. Welcome to Life Lessons for Kids, and I'm Grandma Kitty. What do you think of my lion friend here, huh? Isn't he beautiful? You know, lions are beautiful animals, and I wish that they were tame and friendly, but you can't get this close to a real lion. No, they are wild animals with sharp teeth. They can be really mean. They could bite your hand off. Oh, that reminds me of a story of a man named Daniel in the Bible. And that's in the Old Testament, and it's actually in the book of Daniel. He has his own book. Yeah. Now, let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel loved God. Oh, he was faithful and true to God all of his life, and God blessed him for it. Yeah. You know, in Daniel's day, there was a king named Darius, King Darius, and King Darius appointed 120 princes to be over the whole kingdom, and he chose three of those men to be presidents over those princes. And Daniel, well, he was the first of those presidents. So it was kind of like he was the vice president of the country. Yeah. So, in Daniel 6:3, it says, "Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm." Oh, so see, Daniel had an excellent spirit, it says, and because he did, the king noticed, and he wanted to put him over the whole realm or the whole kingdom. Yeah. So now what happened, though, was that some of the other presidents and princes, well, they got kind of jealous of Daniel, and they wanted to try to find some fault with him. They tried to find something wrong with Daniel, but they couldn't. I mean, Daniel was faithful and true, and they had trouble finding something bad about him, and that made them jealous. Do you know what jealousy is? Well, jealousy is when you want something that somebody else has. You know, it's okay to look at something they have and say, "Oh, that's a nice bike," or "Oh, I'm glad they have a big screen TV or an Xbox," But when you start saying, "It's not fair because they have something that I don't," well, that's when it starts to turn into jealousy. Yeah. And do you know what the Bible says about jealousy? Well, one thing about jealousy is that it's a very powerful emotion, and it can make us make poor decisions we might regret. So do you know what the Bible says about jealousy? It says, don't do it. It says, don't be jealous. I mean, one of the 10 commandments says, "Thou shalt not covet." Yeah. And do you know what covet means? Yeah. That means to want something that someone else has. Yeah. I mean, the Bible tells us that we shouldn't be jealous of other people and the things they might have. But because these princes were jealous of Daniel, well, they came up with an evil plan to get rid of him. They told King Darius that he should make this new law that says anyone who asked anything of any god or any other man other than him for 30 days would be cast into the lion's den. And the king, well, he thought that was a wonderful plan. He wanted to be the most important person in the whole kingdom. So he signed it into law, and he didn't stop to think about how it might affect Daniel. Do you know why it would affect Daniel? Well, let me tell you. Well, Daniel, every day, he would go to his house in front of his window, and he would kneel down 3 times a day and pray and give thanks to God. Yep. So that meant that he was looking and praying to God for his needs, right? Instead of King Darius. Yeah. And what did the king's decree say? That anyone who looked to someone other than him, what would happen to them? They'd be thrown into the lion's den. Yeah, with those big ferocious animals with sharp teeth. Yeah. So what do you think Daniel did? Do you think he said, "Oh God, you know, I really like to talk to you 3 times a day, but the king made this new law, so I can't talk to you for 30 days. So I'll check in with you in about a month." Do you think that's what Daniel said? Oh, no. Daniel did not make any changes. He wasn't going to let some man's silly law keep him from talking to God. So he didn't change a thing. He went into his house, he opened his window, and 3 times a day he knelt down and prayed to God just like he always had. Yep. So those princes that had tricked the king into making this new law, well, they went right to the king to report it. Yep. Sounds kind of like they were a bunch of tattletales, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, when the king heard that Daniel was still praying to his God, he got really upset. I mean, he wasn't really upset because Daniel was praying to God instead of coming to him. No, he was really upset because he liked Daniel, and he didn't want to throw Daniel into the lion's den. Remember, he said that Daniel, he thought that Daniel had an excellent spirit and he wanted to put him over the whole kingdom, right? And now he's got to throw him in the lion's den because of the silly law he made. Yep. Well, he did everything he could to try to save Daniel, but these troublemaking men, they reminded him that he'd made that law and he needed to stick to it. So they brought Daniel over to the lion's den, and King Darius said to him, "May your God, who you serve continually, rescue you." So they threw Daniel into the lion's den. Let's pretend that this is Daniel, kind of a small person, but they put him right into the lion's den with the lions, and they rolled a big stone over the front of it, and they sealed it up, and then they went home. And King Darius was so worried about Daniel all night long. Yeah, maybe he paced the floor, maybe he bit his nails. You know, that's what some people do when they're nervous. They bite their fingernails. We don't know if he did that or not, but what the Bible does say is that he fasted and he stayed awake all night long worrying about Daniel. And then very early the next morning, he went running to the lion's den, and he called out and he said, "Daniel, was the God you serve able to rescue you from the lions?" And what do you think happened? You know what happened? Daniel called back to him, and he said God had sent an angel, and he shut the lions' mouths, and they weren't able to hurt him. Oh, the king must have been so excited, don't you think? Yeah. So because Daniel had been faithful and true to God, God kept him safe from the lions, and he wasn't hurt at all. So King Darius, he rolled the stone away, and he brought Daniel out. And then you know what happened to those jealous men that had plotted against Daniel? Well, the king had them thrown into the lion's den. You know what? They didn't fare as well as Daniel did. No. So see, their jealousy caused them to make some bad decisions that they ended up regretting. Yeah. And that's probably why God doesn't want us to be jealous. That's probably why he warns us not to be jealous. Because you know what? Nothing good can come out of being jealous. No. It can only cause us to make poor choices. Yeah. So, well, that's the story of Daniel and the lion's den, and how God saved Daniel from those ferocious lions because Daniel was faithful and true to God. So I hope you enjoyed our little chat today. This has been Life Lessons for Kids with Grandma Kitty. You take care, God bless, and I will see you again soon. Oh, let's see. Set alarm clock to wake up early. Very early. Oh, I hope I can remember that. Oh, hello there. Welcome to Life Lessons for Kids, and I'm Grandma Kitty. I was just writing myself a note to remind myself to get up early for the sunrise service. Yeah, you know, when you get to be my age, you have to write yourself a lot of notes, because otherwise you'll forget what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, the old brain just doesn't work so well when you get older. No, but have you ever gone to a sunrise service before? Oh, they're held on Easter Sunday morning. They're outside, and they're early in the morning, just as the sun is coming up over the horizon. Yeah, they're very special services, just like Easter is a very special holiday. Yes, yeah. You know, watching the sun rise is kind of symbolic of new life, a new day, a fresh start, you know, and that's what God's Son Jesus does for us. He gives us new life. Yeah. So let me show you something here. I have something to show you. I've got 2 words, and they sound the same, and they look a lot alike, but they're different. Sun and sun, S-U-N and S-O-N. So this type of sun, of course, is that big round ball of light that's up in the sky, and this sun is the offspring of our Father, and when it has a capital S to it, well, then that means God's Son. Yeah. So, you know, even though they're different words, they're a lot alike in a lot of ways. Yeah. So they either rise or rose. Yeah. And I mean, this sun rises in the sky every morning, and this sun rose from the dead on that first Easter Sunday morning. So let's talk for a few minutes about what these suns do for us. Now this sun here, S-U-N. That's a very important element in life. Yeah, did you know that there are 183 verses in the Bible that talk about the sun? So that shows how important the sun is. So, there's one verse here that I like that says, from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. And that's Psalm 113:3. And that means from the time the sun comes up in the morning and until it goes down at night, well, you should be praising God. And I think that's a good one to remember, because we should praise God all day long. Now, did you know that without the sun, the S-U-N, then life wouldn't exist? I mean, let me show you. Let me switch posters here and show you. Without the S-U-N, life would be very dark and boring. Black. Oh, that would not be good, huh? That is pretty boring, huh? It'd be very dark without the sun. I mean, we would be tripping over things and running into things because we wouldn't be able to see where we're going. So, I really don't like black. I mean, I do wear black clothes sometimes, but it's not really a very pretty color. So let's try to brighten this poster up a little bit. So let's talk about the things that the S-U-N does for us. Let me put that up there on the board. All right, so the S-U-N, sun. All right, so one thing it does is gives light. Oh, and I am so thankful for that, aren't you? I mean, it would just be so boring to walk around in the darkness all the time and trip over things and run into things. All right, here's something else that it does for us. It provides warmth. If you didn't have the sun, it would be pretty cold out, don't you think? Yeah, everything would just freeze. And Grandma Kitty does not like to be cold. I do not like to be cold at all. So I am glad that the sun provides warmth. It warms the earth up and keeps us all warm. All right, now here's something else it does. It promotes growth. Have you ever planted a seed before? And then the sun shines on it, and because of the light and the warmth from the sun, then that seed sprouts and grows into a plant. Yeah, and sometimes it's flowers and sometimes it's vegetables. Yeah, so because of the light from the sun and the warmth from the sun, well, it promotes growth. Yeah, and here's something else that because it promotes growth and gives us food, well, it sustains life. Yeah, what would we eat if the sun didn't help all those fruits and vegetables to grow, right? We wouldn't have any food to eat, so it actually sustains life. Oh, there, that looks better to add color to the board, huh? Do you know, in Deuteronomy, it says, precious fruits are brought forth by the sun, and that's Deuteronomy 33:14. So we have fruits and vegetables because of the sun. So the sun is just very important, isn't it? And it's a good thing that it rises day after day. So now let's talk about this son, God's son, Jesus. Yeah, he rose. He came to earth and he died on the cross. He was crucified on the cross, and he died, and they put him in a grave. But you know what? He didn't stay there. No, he rose from the dead. And do you know why this son came to earth? I'll tell you why he came. He told us, I am come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. And that's John 10:10. And abundantly means to have a richer, fuller life. So Jesus came to give us a richer, fuller life. And then John 6:40 says, this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which sees the Son and believes on him may have everlasting life. So Jesus came to give us life, right? So he came for some very important things. Now, here's how these sons are the same. Let me put this other son up here too. Here's how these sons are the same. Jesus gives light. Don't you think that Jesus gives light? Yes, he does. I mean, he can light our path and show us how to live. And so we don't need to stumble blindly through life, because Jesus can light our path and show us where to go and what to do. And he provides warmth. Love is a warm feeling, don't you think? Yes. And see, God is love, and because Jesus is his son, he shows us love too. And so Jesus can make us feel loved and warm and happy. And he promotes growth. He does. He wants us to grow in our walk with him. I mean, he set an excellent example for the kind of people that we should be. Yeah, and he left lots of valuable information in the Bible that can teach us how to grow into loving, kind, caring Christians like we should be. And then he also sustains life. Yes, he gives us courage and strength and helps us to keep moving forward, especially when things become challenging and we sometimes feel like giving up. Yeah, he gives life meaning and purpose. Yeah, so these two sons are a lot alike, aren't they? Yeah, aren't you glad that one rises every day and that one rose long ago on that first Easter Sunday morning? Yeah, and because he did, we can have life and more abundantly, right? Like John 10:10 said. Yeah, so, well, I do hope that you're able to get up early on Easter Sunday morning and go to a sunrise service. And if you do, when you see that sun coming up you over the horizon, just think about God's Son and how he rose to give us life too. And I'm so glad he did, aren't you? Yes. Well, I do hope you have a wonderful Easter celebration with your family. Enjoy your time together and be thankful for the sun, both sons. Well, this has been Grandma Kitty with Life Lessons for Kids. You take care. God bless, and I will see you again soon. Oh, hello there. Welcome to Life Lessons for Kids, and I'm Grandma Kitty. I was just thinking about a song we used to sing when I was a kid. It says, "Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see." Yeah, and then there's other verses that say, "Be careful, little ears, what you hear. Be careful, little mouth, what you say. Be careful, little hands, what you do. Be careful, little feet, where you go. And be careful, little nose, what you smell." Oh, wait a minute. Scratch that nose part. I don't think there's a verse about the nose. No, I don't think so. But you know what the chorus says? The chorus says, "For the Father up above is looking down with love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see." Now, if we could remember that every minute of every day, that God is watching us and he's looking down, we would behave a lot better, wouldn't we? But you see, it's a very hard thing to remember, isn't it? It is a hard thing to remember. You know, there's a couple verses in the Bible that I find them very scary verses. Do you like to be scared? I don't like to be scared, but here, let me show you these verses. This one here, it says, "For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil." Ecclesiastes 12:14. Ooh, that to me is very scary. Do you know what that means? It means you can't hide anything from God. It says, including every hidden thing. God's going to bring it in. He's going to bring it into judgment, and we're going to have to explain, you know, whether it was good or evil. I mean, that to me is scary because you just can't hide anything from God. He knows everything. And you know what? These verses are a little bit scarier. They say, "But I tell you that man will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned." Matthew 12:36 and 37. Acquitted means found not guilty, and condemned means to be found guilty. But it says, even your careless words, oh my goodness, every word we speak, even the careless ones, you know, things we didn't necessarily mean to say. And someday we're going to have to explain that to God. I think that's a very scary thought because sometimes we say things we don't really mean, right? They just come out and we think, oh, I didn't really mean to say that and I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, but you know, the things we say are so important. And so I thought maybe this song would help. So let's talk about this song for a little bit, all right? So one verse says, "Be careful, little eyes, what you see." Now, is it possible to control what we see? I know there's a lot of things we see that we can't necessarily control, right? But what about like television and YouTube, for instance? Are there violent things on TV or YouTube that we're watching that we shouldn't be watching? Yeah, you know, we shouldn't watch violent things. Do you know, where people treat each other poorly or they talk badly to each other? Do you know why? Because sometimes we get those images stuck in our head, and then we think things we shouldn't think. So, we can avoid watching some bad things, right? If it's a TV show or YouTube, something that we're watching that's not really very good, well, we should shut it off and find something that's better. Yeah, something that's family friendly, right? How about our ears? Can we control what our ears hear? Some of it we can, right? Like if we're listening to music that has swearing in it or it's saying bad things, we probably shouldn't listen to it, right? And the same is with our eyes. If we're listening to things on TV or YouTube that are not family friendly, well, maybe we shouldn't, because the same thing. We hear things and they kind of get stuck in our head, and then we might say things that we shouldn't be saying. Yeah, and the other thing too, if you hang out with somebody that swears or talks badly about people, maybe you should find different friends or just ask them not to talk like that around you. Yeah, my friends at school, they knew that I didn't like swearing and talking bad, and so they tried to behave themselves when they were around me. All right, how about hands? Can we control what our hands do? Our brain tells our hands what to do, right? So we need our brains to send the right signal to our hands, right? So should our brain tell our hands to hit our brothers or sisters? Oh, no, definitely not, right? Remember, the Father up above is looking down with love, and you know what? He loves your brother and sister just like he loves you. So he definitely doesn't want you hitting anyone. Now, about hands that steal. What did Ecclesiastes 12:14 say? That every hidden thing. Yeah, so don't think that you can steal something and get away with it, because God sees it and he knows. Yeah. And so stealing is something we don't want to do with our hands. We don't want to steal, we don't want to hit, we don't want to do bad things. God wants us to have helping hands and not hurting hands. All right, how about our feet? Can we control where our feet go and what they do? Should our feet be quick to run into trouble, like run over and hop into a fight with our brother or our sister, or kick other people? Oh, no. We want to have helping feet, just like we want to have helping hands, right? We want our feet to take us to good, healthy places like the park or the playground, or places we can play nice with other kids, right? Yeah, so we want to have good feet. All right, now, usually people save the best for last, but that is not the case here. I saved the most challenging for last. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you say. Now, that is a very challenging thing, isn't it? Yes, that mouth can really get us into trouble sometimes. And sometimes we say things that we just don't really mean. But, we can control some of the things we say. We can choose to talk nice and not talk badly about people. We can choose to not swear, right? Yeah, so just like we want to train our brains to tell our hands to do nice things, we're going to have to work on our brains training our mouth to say positive things, only good things. Yeah, so let's just do a little review here. We want our eyes to see good things. We want our ears to hear good things. We want our hands to do good things. We want our feet to go good places, and we want our mouths to say good things. Did you hear a theme in that sentence? There was a lot of good in there, wasn't there? Yeah. So here's a little tip from Grandma Kitty. This might help you when it comes to making choices. Do you know, if you make good choices, do you know what you will have? You will have a good life. Good choices will give you a good life. Do you want to know what happens when you make bad choices? Trouble. That's what happens. When you make bad choices, you get into trouble. Yeah, so try to remember that good choices are going to give you a good life, and bad choices, they're just going to get you into trouble. And also remember that the Father up above is looking down in love, so we want to make sure that we make him happy, right? And someday we're going to have a chat with him about the things we did. And remember, he knows everything, all those hidden things. Yeah, so let's do our best helping our eyes, our ears, our hands, our feet, and our mouth to make the right choices. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little chat today. This has been Life Lessons for Kids with Grandma Kitty. Take care, God bless, and I will see you again soon.